Most business owners are running 5, 6, maybe 7 different AI tools right now, and they're still spending hours every week on admin work. Research, meeting notes, follow-up emails, content drafts. It never ends. The problem isn't the tools. ChatGPT is genuinely powerful. Claude is genuinely powerful. The problem is that every single one of them is a dead end. You open a new chat. You explain your business from scratch. You paste in context. You get an answer. And then you switch to your next step and do the whole thing again. You're not saving time. You're just moving the friction around. That's the real issue. Context switching. You're the glue holding every disconnected tool together, and that job has no leverage. Alter fixes this at the operating system level. It sits in your Mac's notch. It sees your active browser tab, your open emails, your meeting transcript, and it works with that context automatically. You don't explain anything twice. In this video, I'm walking you through 3 workflows you can copy today. Outreach, meetings, and content that together eliminate the most repetitive admin work in your business. Before we get into the workflows, you need to understand one core mechanic, because it changes how you think about every step that follows. Auto lies in your Mac's notch or menu bar. One keyboard shortcut pulls it up on top of whatever app you're already in. You don't switch windows. You don't open a browser tab. It comes to you. The technology behind this is called AppSense. When you trigger Alter, it reads your active window and detects you've selected your open browser tabs and your screen content. So if you're on a LinkedIn profile, it already has that profile as context before you type a single word. If you're reading an email, it already knows what that email says. On top of that, Alter routes your request to the right model automatically. Writing tasks go to Claude. Web searches go to Gemini. You don't pick the model, it picks for you based on what you're asking. There are 2 ways context gets added. Passive context is what Alter picks up on its own just by reading your screen. Active context is when you manually drag in a PDF, a URL, or a file you wanted to work with. Both methods work inside the same interface. Then there are custom actions, save prompts you build once and trigger with a keyboard shortcut forever. Think of them like templates that already know your instructions, your preferred format, and which tools to use. Set it up once, run it in one key press every time after that. The short version, every other AI tool requires you to go to it. Alter shows up where you already are. Here's the first workflow, and this one directly replaces the most time-consuming part of outreach. The scenario: you found a strong prospect on LinkedIn, you're on their profile. You need to understand their business, identify where they have gaps you can solve, and write a personalized email, all before you reach out. The old way takes 20 to 30 minutes minimum. You read their profile, open their website in a new tab, Google their company for recent news, check their LinkedIn activity to understand what they care about, and then write a cold email from scratch, trying to connect all of those dots. By the time you send one email, you've burned half an hour. Here's how you do it with Alter. You're on their LinkedIn page. Hit your keyboard shortcut to pull up Alter. Because of AppSense, Alter already has their full profile as context, their role, their company, their recent posts, their career history. Type 1 command, generate a company snapshot including their business model, likely pain points given their role, any recent activity worth referencing, and draft a personalized cold outreach email for Gmail. What comes back is a structured brief, their positioning, the gaps you can credibly address, and a draft email written around their specific situation, not a generic template with their name swapped in. The email already references details from their profile, because Alter read the same page you were looking at. Now take that draft into Gmail, open the Compose window, paste it in, and hit your shortcut again. Alter can now see the email thread as its context. Ask it to tighten the subject line, adjust the tone, or cut it to 3 sentences. It refines in place. The whole process, research, brief, personalized email, refinement, runs in under 2 minutes. You spend 90 seconds reviewing and editing, instead of 25 minutes building from zero. Do this 10 times a day, and you've recovered more than 4 hours of prospecting time every single week. That's not a marginal improvement. That's a different way of running outreach entirely. One more thing worth noting here, because Alter is reading the live LinkedIn page, not a cached version, the context is always current. If they posted something yesterday, that's in the brief. That level of personalization used to require a dedicated researcher or a very disciplined manual process. Now it's a keyboard shortcut. The second workflow tackles what happens after you land the client, specifically the post-meeting black hole where good conversations go to die. Here's the situation. You just finished a 45-minute Zoom call. You have scattered notes, 3 things you promised to send over, 2 action items the client mentioned in passing, and a follow-up email you haven't started. Most people spend the next 45 minutes just reconstructing what happened. They reread their notes, manually write a summary, set reminders one by one, then draft an email that probably goes out 2 hours after the call ended. The window where momentum is highest has already closed. Alta has a feature called the Live AI Notepad that runs this entire process differently. Before your call starts, open the Live AI Notepad with your keyboard shortcut. It sits alongside your Zoom or Google Meet window without interfering with the call. The moment the meeting begins, it starts capturing a real-time transcript, pulling from both your microphone and your system audio, so everything you say and everything the other person says gets recorded. Here's the move that makes the summary dramatically better. When a key slide appears, a pricing proposal goes up on screen, or someone shares a document, take a screenshot directly into the notepad. That image gets pulled into the context alongside the transcript. So when you generate the summary later, it's not just working from spoken words, it has the visual reference too. When the call ends, type one command into the notepad, create a meeting summary in Apple Notes with decisions made and open questions. Add each action item to Apple Reminders with today's date. Draft the next steps email for Gmail and post the 1-paragraph update to Slack. What you get back is 4 things, produced in one pass. A structured Apple Note that organizes the call into decisions, open questions, and context. Timestamp reminders for every deliverable that was mentioned. A professional follow-up email that references the specific things discussed, not a generic great talking to you message. And a Slack message your team can read to stay aligned without needing a debrief meeting of their own. From call end to all 4 outputs takes under 5 minutes. The follow-up email goes out while the client still has the conversation fresh in their mind. Your team knows what was decided before you've even stood up from your desk. That 45-minute post-meeting admin block doesn't get shorter, it disappears entirely. The third workflow solves a different kind of waste. Not time spent on tasks you hate, but value that slips through your fingers because you never had a fast enough system to capture it. Every week, you come across useful material. An industry report worth sharing, a YouTube video with a framework you want to reference, your own long-form content that could live in 10 different formats if someone just had time to break it down. Most of the time, that material gets bookmarked, forgotten, and never used. The insight evaporates. You stay invisible on LinkedIn. Your team never sees the thing you found. Here's how you change that with Alta. Drag the PDF directly into Alta, or paste the URL if it's a web page or video. Alta ingests the full document instantly, no character limits, no need to chunk it manually. Now trigger a custom action you've built once and saved. The prompt reads, extract the 3 most practical insights from this content, rewrite each one as a standalone LinkedIn post in a direct, conversational tone, create a 1-paragraph TLDR for Slack, and save a structured knowledge card to Apple Notes with the source URL. What comes back covers 3 separate distribution channels in one pass. 3 LinkedIn posts written around real insights, not vague takes. A Slack summary your team can read in 30 seconds. A permanent Apple Note that functions as a reference card, the core idea, the key points, and a link back to the original source so you can find it again in 6 months. The custom action is doing the work every time. You're not reprompting, not reformatting, not rewriting. You feed it material, and it produces ready-to-use content shaped around the formats you actually publish in. Run this process 3 times a week. 1 report, 1 video, 1 article, and you have a consistent LinkedIn presence built entirely from material you were already reading. No social media manager, no content subscription, no separate writing tool. The cost runs through your own API keys inside Alta, which for this kind of usage typically means a few dollars a month rather than the $30 to $50 per month you'll pay for a dedicated AI writing tool. There's a compounding effect here that takes a few weeks to notice. Your Apple Notes library starts filling with structured knowledge cards. Your LinkedIn feed starts reflecting what you're actually learning in your business. Your team stays informed without you writing internal updates from scratch. None of it required extra hours. It came from a system running in the background of work you were already doing. That's what separates these three workflows from most AI productivity advice. They don't ask you to change your schedule or adopt new habits. They attach to the moments that already exist in your day. A prospecting session, a client call, an article you'd have read anyway, and extract output from them that used to require separate blocks of focused time. Let's talk about what this actually costs versus what it replaces, because the numbers are more stark than most people expect. A part-time VA handling research, meeting notes, and content drafts runs $800 to $2,000 a month, depending on experience and hours. That's the ceiling most solo founders hit when the admin load gets heavy enough that they start looking for help. The three workflows we just covered handle most of what that person would do: the prospect research, the post-call documentation, the content output, without the onboarding, the management overhead, or the monthly retainer. Then there's the subscription stack. If you're currently running Otter, AI for transcription, ChatGPT Plus for writing help, and any dedicated content tool for LinkedIn drafts, you're already at $80 to $150 a month before you add anything else. Each of those tools does one thing. None of them talk to each other, and you're still the one moving information between them. Alter with your own API keys collapses that entire stack. You connect Claude, Gemini, or whatever models you prefer directly through Alter settings, and you pay per use at API rates. For the kind of usage these three workflows represent, outreach research, meeting summaries, content repurposing, that typically runs $10 to $30 a month. Not per tool, total, if privacy is a concern, particularly around client conversations or financial discussions. Alter connects to Ollama so you can run a local model directly on your machine. The transcript from your client call never touches a cloud server. No data training, no compliance exposure, no explaining to a client why their negotiation was processed by a third-party AI. But the real cost was never the software. If these workflows give you back 2 hours a day, that's 40 hours a month. That shifts from admin to revenue work. Sales conversations, product decisions, client relationships, the things that actually compound. Admin doesn't compound, it just refills. You now have three workflows that cover the three places business owners lose the most time: getting clients, running meetings, and staying visible. Each one works independently, and each one gets faster as you refine the custom actions to match exactly how you work. The easiest place to start is the meeting pipeline, because you don't have to change anything about your schedule. You already have calls this week. Before the next one, download Alter, connect Gmail, Slack, and Apple Notes in the Tool Manager, and open the live AI notepad before you hit join. Run it once, see what comes out the other side. That single test will show you more than anything I've described here. Once that feels natural, add the outreach workflow, then the content engine. Stack them in whatever order matches where your biggest time drain is right now. On the cost side, start with your own API keys rather than the paid plan. Connect Claude through Anthropic's API. Get a feel for actual usage, and then decide if the all-in subscription makes sense for your volume. If you're already running N8N automations in the background, you can trigger those workflows from inside Alter with a voice command. One sentence spoken out loud. Full backend automation fires. That's where the operational leverage gets serious. The goal here isn't a bigger tool stack. It's a smaller one that actually connects to how your day runs. 3 workflows, 1 app, everything talking to everything else. That's what the end of admin work actually looks like.